whatever on there, he said, I can practically guarantee, this one guy said to me that, I've worked on there, and it was a bit reassuring, but I just wanted them to do that, to the dog search or something, just to give me that peace of mind. And, I was frustrated very frustrated at the time. Why can't you do that? I was willing to, we contacted dog handlers ourselves to ask if they would, could possibly do it. And none of them would really do it, anything. They wanted to contact the police and find out. When the police sort of said there was no evidence that she'd been there, nobody wanted to really help.
And this is kind of where you found yourself actually in the investigation over the 5 years, that because of the relentless campaign that you've done on social media, people know to come to you with information. I know TikTok obviously playing a big role in that now, but does that put you in difficult positions at any point?
It does sometimes, because I always say come tell us as well, because then I can prompt the police and say, did you have this information, what come of it? And because sometimes when we have had meetings or when I have spoken to them, they might sort of mention something, we had somebody come forward with this information 6 months ago, but nothing come of it. And and I think, well, you never told us that. And they'll say, well, we didn't think it was very important, it was quite irrelevant. So but to us, everything is really important to know what's going on. So I do always say to people, come to us, but you need to go to the police as well, because lots of people have come to us with information that they've heard from friends, or their boyfriends told them, or something like that. And they go into all the details of telling us on Messenger, or and then they say, I don't want to be involved. I'm not going to the police. I don't want to talk to the police. I just thought I'd tell you. And then at the same time, when I'm talking to the police and telling them that, the once said, it's an offence actually to withhold information yourself. We need to know the names of these people. And I said, I promised that I wouldn't disclose their names, but I'm sure you could look into it. And so it does put me in a difficult position as well. But Crime Stoppers is anonymous, and the police are not going to give out people's names and things and information. It's only when it actually goes to court. But I can't really do anything with that information then, if it's just told to me like that and it's not told to the police, because it's not first hand. But just want to mention, the reason why I climbed that gate at Tebble Gate was because I was told that it's very secure there. There's security at night and during the day, constant surveillance, and there was quite a big gap in the wall as well, which I didn't find till after I climbed. So one day I was postering around there. I was with my friend, and she said, why don't you climb, we'll do a video. And I was like, well, I've got to be on a night shift soon, and and I thought, what if I get arrested, and and I'm not going to turn up for my night duty. But I just it was about 6 p.m. and I sort of did it, and it was quite easy for me to get over, but getting out was harder. But when we walked around the corner, there was a hole in the fence round there, and it was just to prove really that it wasn't as secure as they said, and that I could get over it. At my age, I climbed over there. That was making my point, about the security of it.
No, and actually, you mentioned someone there actually that I wanted to speak about, because I constantly come through Worthing. I'm in Brighton, and whenever you go through Worthing, there was even to this day I think, but certainly over the years, you couldn't actually drive through Worthing without seeing Georgina's face there, and I think that was such a remarkable campaign. That had been, led by yourself. I mean, we're speaking today, very soon after the media maelstrom that was the very sad case of Nicola Bulley in the weeks following her disappearance. How do you think that case, that's sort of fresh in our memories now, how do you think that sort of compared to the days, weeks, and months following Georgina's disappearance?
I mean, it was overwhelming, I think, all for those 3 weeks. I mean, as sad as it was. And we always feel for families that have got missing, members, loved ones. But it was just so overwhelming how it would just flooded the media. It was everywhere. It was literally everywhere. I mean, everywhere you looked on TikTok, everybody was doing stories and podcasts and videos, and every day and night it was. And it was in the news. Every single news channel had was talking about it. And it is a bit, I feel you do feel a bit sad as well yourself, because you think, well, we didn't get that for Georgina. Nobody approached us. Most of the things that I did get, we've had to constantly email companies, media outlets, TV stations, to cover like the birthday or anything. Just constant, really, really constantly emailing them. And not many of them have really just come to us and said, oh, can we do a story? And so I felt really disappointed and let down. And for the other missing people, because that week as well, there seemed to be quite a few other missing cases crop up that I'd never even heard of. And and I think I'm in the midst of it, and I know every missing case, and I'd seen some of these, and I felt really sad. I thought, well, nobody's sort of helping these, and these aren't getting publicity. They're not getting awareness or anything. And I just really felt at that time really is a big imbalance of, again, along the cases of missing people. And it makes you think, what is the criteria then for a missing person to get all this?
What do you think that is?
I mean, I've had lots of people say it was because of what happened with the police and all that, but personally I don't just believe that, because I did hear Mark talking on one of the interviews saying about social discrimination, and it's not, as well. I did hear that. And also I do believe that myself, because lots of people have said it. And when we worked with Donald McIntyre, he said it as well, because Georgina's mixed race, she's a single mom, she's from that background. She's not getting as much, people are not really interested as somebody else who's got a high powered job and this sort of thing, middle class. And not that Georgina was lower class or anything, but it was the social discrimination. And I do believe that. And because I've looked at quite a few cases, and I've noticed similar ones to Georgina, a single mom, maybe had some problems in her life. She didn't have such, the way she grew up and things. Georgina struggled coming here from Libya, growing up in a different country like that, because her dad's Libyan, and she did struggle when she came here, I think, adapting to it and things. And that's probably what a lot of her issues were. But she's no different than anybody else. Doesn't matter who you are or what you have. And I'm constantly saying it, I'm constantly writing about it. Nobody's any different, and every missing person deserves the same investigation, the same publicity, the same help and support.
Because I mean, it was obviously, that was speaking about the press, but and just for a little bit of context for viewers, as you said, you worked with investigative journalist Donald McIntyre for a number of months. I think over a year. How long was it?
Oh, it was over a year. Yeah. And then we went into lockdown, and then we hadn't finished because we were doing a podcast, and then we were just sort of going around sort of talking. They'd come down and meet us. So, and then we went into lockdown, so it put it all back.
Because I remember there was a virtual press conference at the time, and at that you spoke at length about some of the police failings in the case, but also that there was a substantial disservice due to her colour, race, and class. And I remember you saying that if she was, Georgina Brown or Georgina Smith instead of Georgina Garcella, she would have got better treatment of the case. And that was sort of in reference to the police. Is that still something that you feel?
Not so much with the police team. I do notice it sometimes with members of the public or people who come on comment on. We do get a lot on comments on posts and things, and you'll get people making really rude comments about is she a Muslim? Oh, well, then it'll be reference to Osama bin Laden and all sort of things like this, which is really annoying, And I did find myself in the beginning answering them or responding, and then I just found myself getting deep into, all this nastiness and vile, behavior from people that I try to ignore it now. But people have said, where's that name come from? Is she a Muslim? Is she this? Is she that?